Hey neighbors, the handyman here with Initiative Coffee Company, the Bill Allen here with Bill Allen World and the Bill Allen. We are doing a special lunchtime version today.
Because of the snow. Because we're in Chicago, because snowing.
All of those things. It's time to rise and roll.
Rise and snowblow. Hey, it's almost the end of January, Brian, which means that we've only done two shows in 2019. Because, you know, there have been some things going on. Number one, we had an Institute Day. Number two, there was
a holiday, national holiday.
National holiday.
This is part of using community studio spaces.
Right.
And by that, I mean studio spaces at a high school.
Yes.
It causes scheduling concerns.
That's right.
Speaking of, keep your eyes peeled because we'll make Twitter posts and Facebook posts about next week's episode of Rise and Roll.
That's right.
Because we're going to do some shuffling a bit in the next couple of weeks because I have a big boy job and I have to go work.
Yeah. So we have a bunch of things that we're going to talk about today on Rise and Roll. If you're tuning in live, you can ask us questions too. Or follow up with more information. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that we like to be able to do is engage you guys in the discussion. So
that is the goal.
Think of it as The View with two big gaming nerds who like to drink coffee, and you can also talk with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a horrible analogy.
That's not a good
I'm sorry. All right. So here's where we're going to start off. As you may know, with Rise and Roll, we often cover table topics and Kickstarters and upcoming events in the world of gaming.
All of these things.
Controversies in the world of gaming. Mm-hmm. But, you know, the year has just started. We don't have a lot of controversies, but we do have a lot of stuff coming up.
It's true.
It's getting cold in Chicago, but it's heating up in the gaming world.
It's heating up in the gaming world.
So one of the things that we're going to start off with is a Kickstarter. And this is, if you've watched previous episodes, we covered a lot of ground with terrain. Miniatures.
We have not done so much on dice.
And Brian, while cruising the world of Kickstarter today, found this cool Kickstarter that's going on. It's called CNC Machined Precision Wood Dice, Purple Heart and More. So this is by a creator named Todd Brammer, Brammer. I don't have my MacBook, so unfortunately we can't cut to the live screenshot. But if you want, you can. I don't even know how I would share this.
Just link it in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, I have to log into the Twitch chat.
Son of a...
Let's see if the school computer lets me do that. So the idea is that he's making wooden dice. Hey, look at that.
Hey.
Let me log in. So he's making wooden dice, and this is not just like crap wood, right? Like he's using like
this is legit wood, yeah. So this is like the same level of wood that is being used for like dice vaults and dice towers from
Elderwood and all those other new and friendly upcoming things.
Yeah.
I'm going to post the link to the Kickstarter in the Twitch chat, folks.
Yep.
So that y'all can love it, check it out, follow along with us. Mm-hmm. So here's the gist that I really like. Number one, this is precision laser cut stuff. This is not just, you know, like I have some wooden dice, Brian, that I got from Williamsburg when we did a family trip out there. And they're kind of cool, but they're like totally hokey and handmade, and they don't roll right, and they're
and
clunky.
Who knows, like, I don't know if, like, these are precision wood dice. They're precision carved. I don't know if, like, their weight is right.
Yeah. So see that? Probably not because of glare.
Yeah.
Can you see it, Dave?
Barely.
Yeah, you can. Dave says we can.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Blackmagic 4K cameras. So that's, I mean, there are some pretty dice there. So he has, we've got Purple Heart, Birch, Redwood, and Rosewood. So these, like you said, are some quality woods. Sorry, people following along. But in the gist of it is these really nice dice. Now, let's take a look. He had a $3,000 goal, and he's up to $3,032, which is pretty sweet. Mm-hmm. He's got 42 backers, 26 days to go, so plenty of time.
Yeah.
In the world of Kickstarter, that's a whole month.
That's a century.
So here's where we get into the nitty gritty though, and we previewed this before the show started. This is all some quality stuff, but like a lot of these trends now with these higher end gaming accessories, Brian, this prices out some gamers, right? There's no doubt that this is gonna price out some gamers.
This is right up there with the WizKids boat and Beetle and Bailey, or Beetle and Grimm's, and
right. Like, so this is not for your average gamer. I would say that flat out. This is basically for your more elite gamers who have the disposable income to spend a lot of money on dice and want to have that level of bling at the table.
Right.
Which we'll talk about from a social perspective in 1 second. But so for a $20 pledge, you get one 35mm wood D20. So that's like a mega D20, right? That's big.
It's going to be one of your big guys,
right? On the table, which is pretty sweet. You know, for your novelty die, $20. I feel like, you know, if you're really committed to your D&D
piece,
that's your showpiece. You know, you're going to the con, you're going to, you know, your Adventures League on Monday nights or wherever at your friendly local game store. Boom, you know, you want to bring out the full power. For $65, you get a polyhedral set. So that's, you know, a lot of money for dice, Brian. I mean,
but here's the thing: if one D20 is worth $20, a full set would be worth $65, right? So it's not altogether unreasonable in terms of it's at least consistent, right?
True. And he has 18
Wyro
backers.
Wood said, "Hi, Bill."
Hi, Wyro.
Who Wyro Wood.
So pledge of $80 or more gets you a polyhedral set and one of the mega die, a 35mm mega. And then here's, you know, for your top tier people, you pledge $300, you get 4 sets and 4 35mm D20s. Now, what I don't see here is the retailer package, and maybe that's the kind of thing.
The 300. Maybe that's what the 4 sets implies, right?
Maybe that's what that is.
4 sets to resell.
I wonder though if they would make a deal with, you know, a game store. If I was like, hey, I want 10 sets, cut me a better deal, you know.
I would say probably not at the moment because they're probably filling orders to make.
Right.
But once, I mean, clearly this Kickstarter funded, and they're a local Chicago company. So if one was so inclined, they could reach out and contact the purveyors of this not so creatively named Kickstarter.
Right.
And potentially get that going. So, I think that's the long and short of it. I think, right?
Truth.
Hello, Gall 540.
Wood dice sounds cool. Yeah. So if you guys are just tuning in, what I'm doing on YouTube is just a behind the scenes thing, but really the main multi-camera live Twitch stream is on the Initiative Twitch. So go over to twitch.tv/initiativecoffeeco if you guys want to follow along. Brian is keeping track of the Twitch chat, and I'm conducting the rest of this show. And as always, you know, we always port over the finished full res version of the show to the Initiative YouTube channel too.
Later in the week.
So all of my subscribers, I've told you a billion times, go over and subscribe to the Initiative YouTube as well.
Hello, Wood.
So, hey, let's talk this way, Brian.
Yeah.
Social stuff. Now, we have this trend going on in the world of geekdom that is high-end, deluxe gaming items, gaming swag, gaming accessories, whatever you want to call it, right?
I don't want to interrupt, but Wyro would like you to say his name.
Wyro Wood.
Sure.
That's how he says his name. Wyro Wood. It's like three things. Magical Wyro Wood. Yeah. It's like Foos Road, you know, like in Skyrim.
Yeah. Okay.
Wyro Wood.
Yeah, is that the one that turns you into a tree?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't say it fast though, otherwise it just comes rah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wyro Wood. Okay. So, all right. So expensive gaming stuff, Brian. Now, here's the thing. It is a new thing. So for you gamers that have started off in the last 10 years, I'm afraid to tell you that there never were deluxe things like in the old days. I mean, they had box sets, you know, but like you bought what you bought. You know, like this. Okay, like the trend of having like the deluxe version of a book. There was no like first edition.
Right. There were no like
deluxe.
baby seal leather feeling books.
Yeah,
in first and second edition.
Like that was not a thing. Dice. Okay, you bought dice. Yes. Right. Some they were like, ooh, your dice are cool and marbled, but they were all basically just plastic crappy dice, right?
Or acrylic or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, the fact that there's metal dice, there's customizable dice, there's these laser cut CNC like high quality wood dice, not some crap. It's not like maple. I mean, this is like high quality stuff.
It's imported wood. It's a big deal.
Elderwood Academy makes all those gaming dice rollers and dice towers and dice trays and those cool, what are those leather things that where you snap them together and now you got a dice tray and then you can unsnap them and they just fold up?
They're leather foldable dice trays.
Leather foldable dice trays. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Brian, that is a new thing. Culturally, what do you think about this? Because I'm of two minds.
Like, the benefit of there being corporatization, right, is that there's a larger industry to keep the train moving forward.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, as long as there's money to be made in tabletop gaming, tabletop gaming will still be around.
Yes. Right? Which is a good thing. We want that.
Right. And, like, it's...
Right? Don't we want that, gamers?
It's rough that, like, that's what it boils down to.
Yes.
Because, like, so much of tabletop gaming isn't about that. Right?
Right.
But... it just provides like further sustenance to the beast, right? Ultimately, like, I think you have to, it's tough because like you don't want to, from my perspective, right? Like as a once and hopefully future sociologist, like throwing money around and like that conspicuous consumption is not necessarily like a community-focused activity.
Right. So this is like, what I'm getting to.
It's what separates you from the rest of the table.
Yeah.
And that's really not what the hobby's about, right? The hobby's about the table getting together and like supporting each other.
Yes.
Hey Josh. That said,
so we have the haves and the have-nots.
Right.
In a way, right?
And that's a thing that like we've talked about it in not so many words before with Beetle and Grimm.
Yeah, I would love to have the Beetle and Grimm set. Like, oh yeah, that'd be dope.
It'd be awesome, I would love to have the Whiz Kids sailing vessel.
Yes.
But ultimately, LionCon is next week, actually. Wyro Wood.
We will be talking about all the cons.
We'll get there in a minute.
It's part of our Tabletopics lineup. So after the Kickstarter and this sociological discussion about the haves and have-nots in geekdom, we will get there.
And I think it's easy to like boil it down to haves and have-nots, but it's like people who are passionate about the hobby and then people who are passionate about the hobby and have the disposable income to show that passion in a financial way.
So there was a time where I was a broke kid and I couldn't have afforded all the books and the minis and all those things. And I'm not rich per se, but now I'm like an older dad who has some money and I can afford some of the cool toys. And so like many people, I spend my, some of the money I have on some cool swag for the thing that I'm into. Right. So part of me, like the younger broke part of me, would have resented the people who could afford all the cool crap. But now me is like, you'll get there, or you won't, but like you don't need it too.
But your dice also work as well. You know what I mean? Like, and that's
like you could play this game or any game with the basics, and you'd be fine.
You have to approach the hobby from where you're at, not where the rest of the people in the hobby are at. Right? Like that is ultimately. I mean, that's the ethos behind like Initiative Coffee Company as a whole is approaching people where they're at. Right? Yeah. Meeting them where they are rather than like pulling them to where I am and where the channel is and where the coffee program is.
Well, and let's not forget too that like conventions are another example of that. Some people cannot afford to go to a con because some cons are so ridiculously expensive. We've gone to Gen Con before, Brian, and it's expensive, isn't it?
And I've never paid to go to Gen Con because it's not something that's in my budget.
Right. And I probably, if I weren't working Gen Con,
I
probably couldn't afford to go either, and I'm not destitute. So, you know, I think there are some events, there are some accessories, there are some games that are going to be out of the price range of a lot of people in the gaming community. And I guess having had now 4 decades of gaming geekdom, my advice to everyone is just a little bit of what you said, kind of approach it from where you're at. But remember that you can have fun, and I did for decades, with just the basics. Like, I had the cheapest, crappiest dice. I had pencils and paper.
Yeah, I mean, I've played with...
And that was awesome.
Like, notebooks, pencils, and, like, automatic phone app dice rollers, right? Like, and that's, I mean...
The free ones, not
the free
even the good
ones.
ones.
Yeah, so, like, you don't have to spend a ton of money on it.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Yeah, anybody in the chat that has any strong feelings on these subjects? I will say that thank you, Wyro Wood, by the way, for kind of being the moderator on YouTube and sending people over to the Twitch stream.
Yeah. Goal 540 wants to know if when he comes to the U.S. we can play D&D with him.
Sure.
If he was nearby.
If you're going to come to the U.S. and come to Chicago,
if you're in Chicago,
we'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Wyro wants to know if we can give any advice on building an Archfey Warlock, and I would say probably not, because neither of us play Warlocks.
Although I do kind of think that that's a potential thing down the line, because we have some interesting Fey things happening on the Bards Tale.
That's true.
Without too much spoilers, but if you haven't tuned into the Bards Tale, go over to Initiative's YouTube, subscribe, and start getting caught up, because
there's even more interesting things happening with the Fey in Long Rest that we shot on Saturday, and soon we'll start pointing that stuff to YouTube as well.
But like, so we have just uncovered in season 3 now of the Bard's Tale some of the deeper mysteries behind Joe's character Skylark, which does tie into the Fae a bit. I don't want to give spoilers away, and out of character, I don't know if I actually would, or in character, I don't know if I'd actually know this, but let's say that making pacts with people and being a Fae could be extremely dangerous.
That's true.
Like, I know that in the player's handbook, that's one of the base level options, but if a DM really knows how to play that, that could be an amazing campaign hook.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not meaning just the story, I'm saying you could do a whole campaign.
Yeah, I think the important thing is, like, with any of this stuff, you should be having conversations with your DM to come up with, like,
help your DM.
You're making a character that you enjoy, but ultimately you have to make a character that your DM buys into at least a little bit.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're not really going to contribute to the story and all that much.
Truth.
Wallstormer, large-scale companies are going to cater to cash however they can, but you can create spaces of your own that feel important and vibrant that specifically help people who don't have as many resources, like Initiative Coffee Co. So
who said that?
Wallstormer. He runs
genius.
He runs a game criticism YouTube or Twitch channel and blog called IntelliGame.
Okay.
I'm hoping that at some point we can have him guest on the show and kind of telecommute in. But he's doing some of the best social critiques and sociology of video games on the internet in general. Wow. So you should check out twitch.tv/IntelliGame. I think he'll link the right URL soon when he hears that he can.
And about 30 seconds from now. Yeah. So one of the things, too, that we've talked about in past episodes is just the idea of community in general. We've talked about inclusion and what does it mean to focus on inclusion. We've talked about community building, friendly local game stores, all of that stuff, right? And if you don't have the resources to get all the books, think of it as a communal effort, and it's not so bad.
Right.
Because you could divvy up the costs just for the basic stuff between a group of 5 or 6 people, and it's very reasonable.
It becomes manageable.
And then, and then you build from there. If you want some minis, if you want some terrain, there are cheap alternatives. There are ways to do it for very affordably. So,
also check out your libraries. I know we run programming at the LaGrange Library on Mondays. My guess is there is programming waiting to be run at libraries as soon as somebody takes the initiative to start running it.
I will echo that sentiment, Brian, because as you know, my wife's a librarian, number one. Number two, she's running for library board. And in general, the state of most libraries right now is very in flux. Because books versus digital media.
Right. I mean, I think like bookstores and libraries both, right?
Right.
They have to lean into the resources they have and the things that they can do that aren't about handing books to people.
Right. But a library is a community hub, and that is very much lends itself towards building a gaming community. They have space, they have resources. A lot of times libraries are part of greater networks, so if they don't have books in-house, they could get them for you.
And if there's enough interest for D&D
Wasn't this
books,
a library book?
That came from the library because they don't want to shelve 3rd edition stuff.
Right, but point is that a lot of times if you talk with the librarians, they might be able to allocate.
If there's enough interest in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons at your local library, they'll invest the $150 it takes to get the core set.
Yes.
Like, that's what it boils down to. So we support going to libraries. We're excited to run our program there. We're excited to partner with them. We're actually trying to map out a syllabus for a 5-day summer camp program for teaching D&D and teaching the skills that you can take beyond the table for D&D that we're going to start shopping around the libraries in the Chicago area.
Huge.
Yeah, I think
huge.
I'm excited about it. So the idea is this year we'll do the general D&D one. And we'll build on it next year and do like a DMing seminar style thing. So,
couple quick comments while we're still on topic, y'all. Stefan Diebel said, doing your own terrain is super good for saving money too. There are some really great tutorials on YouTube. Any of you guys recommend? I recommend myself, first of all, Bill Allen. Go check mine out. But then go to what I call the if you don't know Facebook groups or you're not a part of that community, the Tabletop Crafters Guild on Facebook is a very welcoming and encouraging community. DM Scotty, DMG Info, Wylock's crafting videos, Black Magic Craft, and then the Crafting Muse.
Right.
Those 5 are
Realmsmith as well.
Yeah, those are 5 of hundreds. Yeah. But those 5 have entire libraries of crafting, and that's. Go check out all the crafting stuff because, yeah, absolutely. Crafting your own minis, your own terrain. If you're not really crafty or artistic, they're very easy tutorials for even people who don't consider themselves to be artistic to follow. And if you don't want to get crafty at all, 3D printing is another method that you could do. You could get free files from Thingiverse. If you search OpenForge, there's a creator named Devin Jones who has released thousands of STL files for minis, for terrain. If you don't own a 3D printer, check with your local school or library. Some of them have 3D printers.
Also, like, they're getting to the point where it's an affordable option.
Yes.
Right? Like, 3D printers for $300 or whatever, you can save money. And that sounds like a lot, but it means you're not buying... If the alternative is to buy terrain, it'll end up saving you money in the long run because filament is cheaper than, like, insulation foam.
Yes, true. So hope that answers your question, Stefan. Scott Marish, welcome. Sorry we were a little bit delayed. Scott encouraging everybody to watch the Bards Tale over at Initiative Coffee Company, which is absolutely true. Somebody said, isn't that a video game? Yes, but they spell it differently.
No, it's, the Bards Tale is a video game about a singular bard that adventures through a given setting. The Bards Tale, the YouTube series, BARDS apostrophe, is a gripping story about a group of several bards, making it grammatically and hopefully legally distinct.
That's right. Exactly. Couple other quick comments. Hey, Chris Drews, welcome to the chat. Living in a small town, we were always looking for more players and would gladly share our books with new players. Absolutely. Yeah. And again, people all the time, Brian, on our various channels and various programs that we do, always asking, you know, I want to play D&D. I don't know where to get started. Yeah. Look locally. Start off with your local game store, comic book store, library,
coffee
shop. Make a posting. If there's nobody that you know in the area, look on Meetup, meetup.com. Look on Facebook. Yeah, there's so many different groups. And if there's nobody physically, locally in your area, go ahead and look online, because there are great online communities and resources that you could use to play with people on Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or any number of other options. But biggest point is play. Go out and play it, because it's...
a lot of times there are groups waiting to happen. All that they require is somebody to step up and run them.
That's absolutely
there's
true.
1,000 players and 5 DMs. And that's the constant problem with organizing groups.
Well, we started with this Kickstarter about wooden dice, but now we're moving on to some more
The long and short of it is, if you have the money to afford this Kickstarter for wooden dice, go for it. And if you don't feel pressured or bad about not being able to go for it. It's a local Chicago company, so we're excited to kind of promote it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's what's a Kickstarter.
A Kickstarter is a way to start up a project if you don't have enough money. Check it out. It's basically the kind of idea is that you're pledging to support something and that you get something in return for it. So you choose your pledge level, so and then
crowdsourcing the initial investment.
Right. So for a company that doesn't have enough money to start up a project, this is a way to start up a project. And Kickstarter's been tremendous in just a lot of different things, not just gaming. I mean, it's a wormhole. You could go through, you could spend days on Kickstarter just finding cool stuff. Yeah. Time to move on to Tabletopics, Brian, because we got a lot to cover. Let's start off with upcoming conventions. So we have some stuff coming up, and Brian, you're going to be. I think our first thing is probably LYON. I put this out of order in the notes. Yeah. So LYON is coming up this weekend.
Jeez.
We started. Brian and I started a convention here in the Chicago suburbs last year, which was born out of a desire to, again, grow the community. To take what you already have on a regular basis with Friday night gaming and blow it up and make our own little mini convention that has all the stuff of geekdom and nerdery that we love. And the first year was stupidly successful. It exceeded our wildest expectations.
The first day of the first year was amazing. Yeah, we had 500 or so people come through.
I would have been happy if there was the second day we had a blizzard and it was the Super Bowl. But
hopefully the blizzards are done as of today.
We'll see,
and they can clear the roads before Friday night.
But I sincerely, I've told many people this last year. I would have been happy if there were 30 nerds playing D&D and watching
20.
Anime.
Like I run a Friday night program where like 25 kids show up.
And that would have been awesome.
Fine for me, you know.
But we had hundreds, and it was awesome. We had special guests, we had panels, all this stuff. So this year, we booked the event way in advance, and we reached out to vendors and all this stuff, and we knew what we were going to do. We got, I think you guys had the Adventurers League stuff set up pretty early, so in a way it was more streamlined, but in another way it kind of snuck up on us too.
Right. Well, like any major planned things fall apart last minute.
Right.
So that's the way that you got to deal with it.
It's coming up this weekend, and we have a ton of stuff planned.
We have a lot of stuff planned.
I don't even know if we have all the people to manage all the things that we have planned, but I think it's going to happen. It's a family-friendly event.
I'm leaning into youth.
Yeah.
I got to be honest here.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yes. And I feel like we're going to basically create a space where all sorts of fun things can happen. It's stupidly cheap. It's $10 unless you're a small child or you're in a costume. It's $5. But it's $10 for the entire day. And you can come and play games. The Board Games Club will have board games there. We have friends throughout the community who are volunteering that are bringing their own board games. Our friend
particularly
Chris,
aimed at board games for like younger kids as well.
Right. So we have vendors who have stepped up to extraordinary levels of participation where basically they have become a sponsor now. And that is Fair Game, which is a friendly local game store here that has
it's getting friendlier and
it's getting friendlier, yeah. So they're based out of Downers Grove, which is a suburb outside of Chicago to the west of us. And they have amazing programs there. And now they're opening up a second store in LaGrange, right where we live. So it's amazing. They're going to be running games for all ages throughout the day on Saturday, so that you can come up and learn how to play these games, in addition to running their booth and having great stuff for sale. So we're looking forward to that. Brian, you hooked a couple new vendors.
Yeah, so we're having
falls into the world of fun too. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're having 2 escape rooms come in from the Chicago area. One Just Escape here in LaGrange, and then Fuzzy Logic escape room.
Yeah,
it's another escape room called Fuzzy Logic in Downers Grove. They're going to bring their puzzle boxes. If you can get into their puzzle boxes, you get a free voucher. I know for Just Escape, they give you a free voucher for their closet room.
Which is awesome. Like, it's a cool place. I'm going to say I've gone to, I'm relatively new to the escape room world, but I've gone 3 times, three scenarios, and it's a blast. We've gone with just adults, which was fun, and then we did a family one with the kids, and that was a blast. Like, it is.
So Elise and I have done all of them at Just Escape, and they're all great.
Yeah.
And then we've done 2 of them at Fuzzy Logic as well, which are both pretty cool. Just to catch up real quick, Wallstormer, yes, we run our own con. It's a small high school con here in the Chicago area. When you decide that the West Coast is not exciting for you anymore and you want to move back to the Midwest where people are nice and it snows a lot instead of raining always, you let us know. Wyro Wood, any advice on players ruining your game? My recommendation is to keep in mind that it's also their game and that you should work together.
Well played.
Where is this, and do you need somebody to run game shows? If you're talking about LYON is in Western Springs at the
suburbs of Chicago.
Right. It's in the Chicago area, Western Springs, at the Lyons Township High School Corral building. And I need people to run game shows.
Shows on the streams. We're good right now. We haven't opened up that avenue yet.
We're thinking about it if you're talking about the Twitch channel.
Yeah. But yes, possibly.
But at some point, yes.
So, Brian, LionCon, let me go through a couple more things.
Sure.
So we've got stuff all day with Fair Game. And by the way, there's a Facebook page for LionCon. It's LYON space CON. LionCon.
Well, it's not space on Facebook.
Yeah, LionCon. There's a website that we currently have to update. We're having some problems with that. Thanks, Paul.
Right.
LionCon.net. But basically, I'll summarize. So we have Fair Game running events all throughout the day Saturday. We have various and sundry volunteer DMs, myself included, Brian, some other people, Chris, maybe Danny Romero.
I don't think Chris will be running.
Schroeder, not
not
Eska. So we've got some various DMs that'll be, running some open tables for people who want to learn to play D&D or
there'll be board games all day.
Board games all day. Yep. We're going to have a screening room for people who like anime, sci-fi, and fantasy. We're going to have a rotation schedule of things being done there. Yep. We're going to have some activities for the younger folks, too. We're going to have a whole bunch of like fantasy coloring options, pictures and stuff.
We have someone to come and
good, because I have to
oversee that.
Dozens of photocopies.
Yeah.
And we'll go out and, so that'll be fun, too. So a lot of fun things for the whole family, for adults, for kids, all that stuff. In the evening Saturday, we have our costume contest. So we have some very special guests that we had last year. And if you're a Star Wars fan, it's pretty amazing. So this is the 501st Legion, and they are basically people who have incredible movie quality costumes of stormtroopers and Darth Vader and some other principal people from the Star Wars universe.
It's all Imperial.
It's all Imperial, but they go all over the place. They go to conventions. They do fundraisers and events.
And this is, like, from my understanding,
this is like
it's a national organization.
It's a national organization.
And this is like the Western Chicago suburbs.
Yeah.
Installment
Yeah, and they
fraternity of it.
They show up, and it is just
awesome. Yeah, they're in character the whole time.
Yep. So
speaking of
you could take pictures.
Speaking of movie quality,
well,
let's not forget that the HSPPA is going to be out.
Right. Our friend James from the Horror and Sci-Fi Prop Preservation Association will be out again with his museum, and these are all they're not replicas. These are actual movie props that he has acquired over the year through. It's an incredible thing. He has actually a third volume now. He's published 2 books that showcase these props and the movies and tell the stories about them. And he's publishing a third now. So the HSPPA is coming out again.
He's also got a comic book that just came out with Danny as the artist.
Yeah, our friend Danny is the artist on that. They'll be there. So again, taking pictures with all these things. Tons of photo ops between all the cosplay stuff, all the prop stuff, tons of games, all of the fun, right? And then the costume contest. We're doing the Bards Tale live from LYON.
We'll pick up where we left off the other day.
So we'll be one of the feature games there. And then I think we're going to have very special guests. DungeonRats?
DungeonRats is confirmed.
Are going to be there?
Between those, though, we're doing a panel on women in gaming that includes some of the folks from DungeonRats. And then local Chicago area audio drama podcast and Twitch stream. DungeonRats is going to do a live show to cap off the night on Saturday, which should be a blast. They incorporate kind of viewer submissions to like build encounters. They're really top notch at kind of incorporating the community into the storytelling.
They tie in also to the One Shot RPG Studios, which is in Chicago. There are a bunch of shows that use these facilities to do their podcasts.
And then there's a lot of overlap in the cast between DungeonRats and Rivals of Waterdeep on Wizards of the Coast's Twitch channel on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, so it should be pretty amazing. Saturday's going to be a jam. Sunday, you guys have set up. You and Jake have set up
it'll be me and Jonathan Connor Self again.
Okay.
He came by last year. Jake has a thing in Cleveland he's got to do.
Okay. So running some adventures.
We'll be running the season 8 epic, including Phi Chen's, which is the magic item emporium. If you're familiar with Adventure League, so we'll be doing that. I think we're going to have open board games again. There's going to be some learn to play going on for D&D for people who aren't necessarily familiar with the system and want to kind of get with it. We'll have the anime screening room going on Sunday as well, and then maybe we'll broadcast the Super Bowl or whatever.
We will see. It should be a pretty action-packed weekend.
It should be busy. So.
That's coming up this weekend. Make sure you tune in across the board. We will, on all the social media, we'll post links to where we're going to be doing this stuff. It's frankly going to depend on whether or not we do it on the Initiative Coffee Company Twitch channel or the YouTube channel, depending on which game we're doing.
And bandwidth concerns.
And bandwidth at the school, So, we're going to do our best to kind of bring that live to you guys and also post some live updates, on YouTube, on Facebook, that kind of stuff from LionCon, so you guys can get a little bit of the flavor, maybe do some interviews with some of the vendors, that kind of stuff too. So stay tuned for that. After that is Capricorn. Brian?
Capricorn is February 15th through the 17th.
Yep.
It's a science fiction and literature convention in the northern suburbs. I don't know off the top of my head which one, but if you go to Capricorn Literary Convention, I'm sure their website will tell you.
Yes.
I'm running one panel there on streaming tabletop, and I am participating in 3 others on building monsters, economic systems in your tabletop world, which I fully intend to expand to social systems and political systems as well.
Yes.
Whether they want me to or not. And one third one that off the top of my head I can't come up with either. But if you're in the Chicago area and interested in seeing kind of a fun con, it's a fun con.
And it's a little bit different from maybe a typical gaming con.
So it's not like a gaming con, it's a literature con.
You're going to draw more authors.
It's more like authorship and more creative
world building
and that kind of thing rather than kind of just hucking dice at tables, which is awesome, but there's a billion cons for that.
Yes. After that, in March, is GaryCon. If you don't know what GaryCon is,
where have you been?
It's the convention created when Gary Gygax passed away. Friends and family gathered and played games in honor of Gary all weekend long. And then somebody was like, hey, Luke Gygax, you should start up a convention and call it GaryCon. And then that happened. Yeah. So this year is the 11th annual GaryCon. We will be there working. Yeah. Not just chilling, but we will be there working because we are the official streaming crew for GaryCon. So we're going to be running 2 production facilities. One of them is going to be kind of closed to the public, and it's going to be the private gaming stream. So you'll be able to tune in on GaryCon's Twitch channel, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be picked up on the official D&D channel, because it'll be the Gygax family playing in these games and other kind of celebrity gamers, including but not limited to some of the great masters who were part of TSR back in the early days, but also some of the newer celebrity gamers, Rudy Rutenberg, Satine Phoenix, Luke Gygax, obviously, his brother Alex, Joe Manganiello, Stefan Picorni from Dwarven Forge, all those guys should be there. And then the other thing we're doing is, simultaneous to that, is we're running video for all of the panels that are going to be presented, the feature panels. Yeah. So all the panel discussions, we're going to be doing video for that. But if you're going to GaryCon, reach out to us. Shoot us an email. We'd love to meet up with you. We will have little intermittent breaks in between stuff. Don't know how much time we're going to have for gaming, but we'll be at GaryCon. So if you're going, make sure to give us a shout out, and we'd love to see you there. Yep. Lexicon is March 30th, Brian. Tell me more about
Lexicon that. I know very little about Lexicon. It's a tiny convention in Lexington, Illinois, and we're going to go sell coffee.
And that's outside of Peoria, so it's kind of like a college town area, but it's also rural.
So if you're in Peoria, check it out. If you're in Chicago, we're just going down for the day. It's about an hour and a half.
Yeah, if you know anybody who goes to like Bradley University in Illinois or Illinois State University and they're a gamer, Wesleyan, this is a one-day short drive for them. And it's been like in the works and been growing, and it's supported by local game store that's kind of launched it.
And it's cool because it's a small town, right? So like we've been talking about how to find groups in small towns for a long time, and I don't think it requires building an annual convention around it. But like it'll be interesting to like see the community and the turnout for a small group or for a small convention in the middle of a small town in Illinois.
I would agree with that. Scott Marish, if you are still on, please ask your DM question for D&D 5e, because we will answer that, and then we will move on to the last segment of the show.
Do you want to do a live Rise and Roll from LionCon this weekend?
We probably could.
I mean, we're in charge of it, so I feel like we have the authority to decide.
We could. That's probably a good idea.
We might do a live Rise and Roll from LionCon this weekend.
We'll And we'll have coffee.
We'll have coffee. It'll be good.
Maybe some
any word from
like
Scott?
A breakfast burrito.
That was me stalling to give Scott some time to ask his question.
Not sure if caress that camera. I will, Nick. So not sure if you have any questions for us, but if not, we're going to move on to the last part of every Rise and Roll, which is Monster Monday.
Monster Monday.
Monster Monday, which is where we randomly choose a page from a book, taking your input, and then we have to not only examine that monster, but come up with an encounter for how you could use it.
Speaking of monsters, I found out this week that England banned the Monster Mash for about 10 years from English radio stations because it was too spooky.
The Monster Mash. Really? I find that entertaining.
I found that out on public radio. What are you going to do?
Well, so we have 3 books here today. We have the old, by the way, real quick thing while we're stalling. There's 2 books. Here's the 3rd edition Monster Manual.
Yeah, that's 3rd, and then there was 3.5, but that's the 3rd edition.
And then this is the 5th.
Right.
Okay. So this is from 2000. This is from the year 2000.
Before that?
No, I just looked on the, Right. So this is from the year 2000. I mean, unless there's a republishing date, but
I don't know. 2000. Yep.
October 2000. Okay.
I stand corrected.
So this is from the year 2000. Now, friends, in the year 2000, the manufacturer's suggested retail price in the U.S. was
$50.
Nope.
$30.
Nope.
$60.
Nope.
I'm
1995, Brian.
Oh. Okay.
Now this is the 5th edition.
$50.
$49.95. So I guess my question, is that maybe games were a little cheaper back in the day, because I don't think inflation accounts for doubling the price. But then again, maybe, this is 18 years old, and the binding's kind of falling apart, and it's a library book, so it's seen some use. It's not as thick. It definitely, I don't know that it has the same volume of, well, it's got pretty good art though, and production value. I mean, here's the thing. This feels a little more sturdy, but it's also newer.
Pages. This is glossier pages. This paper is more expensive,
but it still doesn't account for double. So my feeling is that the prices of tabletop gaming books and accessories have gone up because demand has gone up, and companies know that people are willing to pay more. And again, I'm not going to be resentful, but I think if I were like a broke kid, I would be a little resentful. But maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to guess.
If you were a broke kid, you might steal.
If I was, maybe I'd steal it. All right. So, Death Strike says page 286.
Jeez. Wow. We didn't even ask yet. Somebody knows how this works.
There is no 286 in this one. Let me see if this one works. Is it really study hall? Yeah. 4B? Yeah. Oh, look, the Trask.
The Trask. Wonderful.
Okay. I already have an encounter for the Trask, but Brian, you're going to finish up the show and do the Trask while I go be a teacher.
So
bye, everybody.
The Trask, if you're gonna put the Trask in your campaign, you're ending your campaign. Like, that's what it boils down to. There's no coming back after a Trask. Either you win or you lose, and the story's over. Usually, I think the legend behind a Trask is that it's a monster that's released on the material realm as punishment, or some sort of ritual causes it to come back. It's bad news.
I have, in my 40 years of playing D&D, 40 years,
never encountered a
Trask?
Once.
And that was a couple years ago with the Gaming Weekend guys, and maybe it was 3 or 4 years ago. But we were all like level 15 or 16. And we didn't even have to kill it. It was part of the storyline. We had to subdue it long enough to pull out its gizzard.
Oh. And
then cast a powerful ritual on it to put it back to sleep in this cave. Otherwise, it would awaken and destroy a whole tribe of barbarians that lived outside of the cave. We did that successfully. But we had like months of planning and all this other stuff that went into effect.
This is the kind of thing where like there's research to be done. Like, this should be a long-standing goal of your campaign.
You don't just willy-nilly walk into a cave and kill a Trask.
And I think that's the thing that's overlooked in a lot of combat scenarios and adventures in general, is this notion of like, you should do some legwork before you go and take out a monster, rather than just like running into its cave and getting murdered. Ultimately, this should involve research for a couple of months, maybe. Definitely you should figure out its weaknesses, those kind of things. But I think that's overlooked and should be utilized in all kind of encounters past maybe tier 1 or 2. Trask is bad news. It's CR 30, 676 hit points, 25 AC. I think the best course of action is to run. Yeah, that's the Trask. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. We've had a very active chat today. That's been very exciting for us. We're going to be live from LionCon. We will figure out a day to do that. It'll either be Saturday or Sunday, obviously. And hopefully we'll see you in chat there as well. So until then, roll together. We'll see you next time.